Hi, I'm Allick Delancy, psychologist working in the field of mental health and education. And today's topic has to do with modeling appropriate behaviors to help children, teens, really know exactly what they have to do. Keep in mind, the statements made here are based on my personal views or opinion, as well as research I will have done for this video. This video is based on my personal desire to bring to consumers the science behind mental health, behavior modification, and education. So today's topic has to do with modeling appropriate behaviors. Now, modeling is another powerful behavioral technique that can be used to modify behavior, either a problem behavior or it may not necessarily be a problem behavior, but you want to teach a new behavior so you can model the appropriate behavior, or you model the behavior you want to see either the child or the student get done. So how does modeling work? Especially if you're a parent or a teacher, you really want to use this particular strategy, this particular technique to help you. So imagine this. Imagine there's a student, maybe it's a young child, maybe it's a child with special needs, and the child has maybe processing challenges or comprehension challenges. They're not 100% sure what you're asking of them, or sometimes you may ask them to do or engage in a task, and it's difficult for them to actually engage in that particular task. So let's say the task is you want them to get up from their seat, you want them to go to maybe a place in the house, or you want them to go to a place in the classroom and to get some materials and to come back at their desk and engage with the material. So let's say, for example, you want them to get up from their chairs or their desk and go to another corner. Maybe there are some crayons or some color pencils, paper. You want them to get that and to come back at their desk and maybe to color, to shade, or to do something like that. How can you use modeling? Or possibly you're a parent, you want them to actually go wash the dishes. So you want them to take the control, put it down from the video games, and to get up and to go into the kitchen and actually turn on the pipe, get the soap on the cloth or the rag or the sponge and wash the couple dishes or the few dishes that they place in the sink. How can you use modeling to help them to bring about this behavior that you want them to engage in? Well, modeling really suggests that you have to show them exactly what they need to do. So how do you do that? Well, you have to be prepared to step by step and very slowly to show them what they need to do. Now, sometimes we may take for granted that, well, I know how to do it and it's not that complex, so they could or they should or they must know how to do it already. But the case is this: sometimes they honestly don't know how to do it, especially if it's a young child, especially if it's a child with special needs. So it means we may have to show them how to get up. So we may have to sit at a desk and sit with a chair, and then we may have to get up and then make sure that they are looking at us and then verbally say what we're doing. Especially if they can talk and they can hear us. We verbally say what we're doing. We get up from the chair, we get up from the desk, we walk over to, and we may even take them by the hand and tell them what we're expecting of them while we're doing it. We walk over to the tray or the table or to the sink and we take up the material. Maybe in the case of the classroom, you take up the color pencils, you take up the crayons and the paper, and then you hold their hands and then you show them that they will be walking back. You could even give them the items to hold in their hands, and then you walk them back to the desk. You put the pencils or the crayons in front of them, you put the paper in front of them, and you indicate, this is what I want you to do, so let's practice it. And here's where you have to practice it. Now, for a child, especially a young child or a special need child who has challenges with memory or processing or comprehension or any kind of cognitive deficit they may have, this requires practice again and again and again. And it could become frustrating but I just want to urge you not to become frustrated, because it's difficult a task. It comes like anything that we as adults may have learned now, but at one time it wasn't that easy. It could be like driving. Some persons, they took weeks and even months to learn how to drive appropriately on the nation roads. For other persons, they may have been doing mathematics, and it took them a long while before they learn how to do mathematics to prepare for the exam. Or maybe it's an app that you're using on your phone. Maybe you have an Android phone, or maybe it's an Apple or some other phone that you have. And it took you a little while to navigate, to figure out where to put certain things, where to get certain apps so that you can use it. Now, it's true that sometimes, because I've heard this argument made by some persons, they say, but the boy or the girl or whoever it is, they're able to navigate the phone, they know the phone real good. But when it comes to getting up and washing the dishes, they're 8 years old, they're 10 years old, they're how many years old, they're supposed to know how to do it. And maybe they do know how to do it, but they may not be motivated to do it. So here's where you show them that getting things done, there's a step-by-step process to do it. And by practicing it with them, you might even tell them that. You may say, I know you don't feel like doing it, but the reality is it needs to get done. And the quicker you get it done, you will see that you can accomplish it, and then you can get back to something else that you want to do, or that you were doing before. So you could even use that as a strategy to help them to build momentum, to build a habit, to experience a reward that comes, or feeling of motivation after they will have engaged in a task. And here's it: when they practice it a few times, sometimes they make error. All right, they may make some error. You may have to slow it down a little bit, practice it some more, make sure they get the sense of what you're trying to help them to accomplish. And keep in mind too that sometimes you may teach, especially a special needs child, how to do a task. The child may be diagnosed, let's say, with autism spectrum disorder, or even ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and it may take them quite a while to actually understand what is expected of them. Sometimes hindsight and foresight does not necessarily work as well as we may imagine it may work in a typical functioning population. Sometimes the reality is you have to show them over and over, maybe twice as long, or 3 or 4 times as long as it may have taken a typical functioning child or a typical functioning student. It may take a special needs child a little while longer. And for parents who may have had or work along with special needs children, or interact with special needs children for a period of time, will notice that sometimes it takes a really long time to have them complete a task that students their own age can easily get done. But it is with effort and with practice that eventually they will complete it. So keep in mind, an excellent strategy to use, it's modeling, and you have to demonstrate what you want them to do, and sometimes you have to do it again and again so that they can get the sense of what you want. And you want to reward them when they engage in the positive behaviors. So you high five, a hug, a bounce, so that they can know exactly what they should do, especially when you're not there. And of course, over a period of time, when they start engaging in the behavior that you want them to engage in, you can use a technique that we call feeding. Feeding is where you may not always acknowledge when they do something as often as you probably used to do it when they first started learning or engaging in the behavior, or when you were trying to get them to repeat the behavior again and again. Of course, I'm not saying that when they engage in positive behavior that you do not acknowledge. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that maybe you used to say about 10 times, hey, thank you very much, you did a good job, excellent, thank you for going and wash your wares. You might start holding back by doing it maybe 8 times, and then 7 times, and you may just stick at a five occasions, when you will say something, even though they may have done it twice as often, right? And you could sometimes lump it together by saying something like this: "Hey Tom, I really appreciate the fact that you clean out your room. I noticed you did it Saturday, and you also did it on Monday evening. That's really good." So you say it once, but you identify on two occasions. So you're kind of fading it out, as opposed to when he did it on, was it Saturday? Saturday you say something, and then when he did it on Monday, you said something. You kind of say it on Tuesday, and you identify the two occasions. And maybe on another occasion, he may clean his room, complete his homework on 4 occasions, and you may not necessarily acknowledge it the same way that you may have acknowledged it when you first started training that child or training that student to get the job done. But there comes a time when you will say, "Hey, come sit down, let's talk. Kevin, I realized that you're maturing." And how do I know that? Well, you actually got your homework done. I noticed you did it on Saturday night, and I didn't have to tell you. I also noticed that you cleaned your room on Monday. I also noticed that yesterday you actually came and you washed the dishes, and I didn't have to say anything to you. So I just want to tell you now that I really, really appreciate the efforts that you have been putting in, and I think you're really maturing, and I am happy that you're making the efforts. So keep it up, and I'll be looking out to see other areas in which you could improve, because as you continue to improve, I feel I should give you more freedom. And I guess who child doesn't want more freedom, right? I'm giving you more freedom so that you can do other things and demonstrate even further that you are capable of doing a great job. So maybe that's how you can use modeling so as to help the student. All right. So thanks for listening, and take care.